Things just got loud in here. Our first Polish player of the day, Mouse Mana, going up against world champion Parting that we just watched, our first PvP of the day.
Yep.
What can we expect to see?
Some good PvP.
Some very good PvP.
And depending on the maps.
Our first map is Cloud Kingdom.
Okay. I know that Mana really used to like Blinkstalkers, but he went to Korea for a while and he changed his playstyle so much. Like, both of these players are super versatile, so it makes it very hard to predict exactly how they will play, because they have so many strategies available to them. But I would say Cloud Kingdom is definitely a better map for opening Blink. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Blink play, and maybe one of them will go for a Robo to try to counter the Blink. There is a very little chance we're going to see Phoenixes here, and maybe DTs, but it seems unlikely as well.
What do you think about Parting's PvP compared to his other two matchups?
You know what? I used to think that Rain was the best PvP by far, and that's probably still the case, but Parting somehow seems to be able to beat him, and he seems to have stepped up a lot with his PvP. You know, I used to play Parting on Korean ladder, and I won a couple games, most of them even, so I think maybe he wasn't playing very seriously, maybe it wasn't even him, but I think it was. But like, I feel like PvP used to be his worst matchup, maybe.
Yeah.
And now he's like, I don't know, in every matchup he's a monster, he's really good, so I feel he has stepped up a lot with his PvP. He has a deep understanding how to play depending on maps. He can play both cheeses and big macro games, so he's very solid right now in PvP, I feel. But Mana, he's as well. Like, Mana is so good in PvP. He always says he's bad, and then he always beats me in tournaments, and then I feel really bad.
Maybe that just says something about you.
Oh my God.
No. So,
calm down, Jeremy.
Mouse Mana, you know, I thought he looked a bit nervous when he stood there on the stage. It has to be intimidating. There's Polish flags waving. He's a hometown hero. And really, there's so many people here, and they got so loud.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it might give him wings, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure, but at the same time, it's like, if you win, yeah, you win. Like, this is the best place for him to win.
Yep.
He's going to have all the support, all the fans, all the people cheering for him. If he can come out of this 2-0 against probably one of the, if not the best, well-known player at this tournament, and he goes up on stage, that's going to feel so good.
Yeah, and if he loses, does it feel worse than a normal loss? Does it feel like he let his fans down?
It might. I definitely could see him reacting that way.
He seems happy. You see him on the screen there now, typing away.
He looks pretty calm.
So we've been hanging out all morning. Very friendly guy. He's been in a very, very good mood.
Yeah.
His donated Polish flags from the fans. I don't know if you can hear them through our microphones, but they're chanting his name right now. And I'm so looking forward to this game. I just wish they would start it.
These guys are very young, 18 and 19.
18 and 19.
Definitely part of the younger generation of pro gamers.
They could have been my children. If
maybe they are.
If I was really pimping it when I was 12. All right, the players are in the game, the map is loading, and we're giving it over to our casters. Have fun.
Thanks very much, guys. Welcome back to the commentary desk here, Poland Katowice, as we will now be jumping on into our first game. This is going to be an exciting one.
This is going to be really exciting. We have a Protoss versus Protoss. We have Parting, who just obliterated Bly with a 2-0, and he's up against Mana. Are you ready, Poland? I would say they are.
I think so as well.
This crowd is blowing me away. We have Friday morning, and the house is packed. I don't even want to start thinking about tomorrow on Sunday. This is going to be epic. The game is on. Protoss versus Protoss. We have Parting up against Mana. Map number 1 is Cloud Kingdom. Galerius, let's get this started.
Let's indeed. As spawning. Well, why don't you take it away, Caldo?
Spawning to the top right of the map in red, we have the Polish fan favorite. It is Mousesports Mana!
I think there's some Mana fans. And spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner here as our blue Protoss. Give it up for SKT's Parting.
Parting and Mana in the chat were just talking a little bit, and Parting was asking him if after the game Mana could teach him a little bit of Polish. And at first, Mana wanted to know, what exactly do you want to learn? He's like, maybe a bad word. And Mana's like, what? You want to say a bad word to the crowd? And he's like, well, if I actually say that, then just kill me, please.
Oh, poor guy.
They're really friendly, those two. They know each other, and this is going to be one intense game. On a map like Cloud Kingdom, Protoss versus Protoss, we see a lot of Blink Stalker play, and I love when we have Blink Stalkers. The micro aspect is just so important in this matchup. And then Mana being one of those players who has one of the sickest Blink micros ever.
Yep.
Count me in.
Yeah, too true. He doesn't only utilize that in this matchup, but across all matchups, you see him going for like one base players against Terrans, just trying to snipe out that tech lab, and even just still making it work out regardless of not getting that final objective completed. And as you said before, it's so common on this map. I wouldn't really be expecting too much else.
You know, the thing is, Powering is just such a boss in all these matchups. Todd talked a little bit about how he just improved his play in basically every matchup. But if you go down the players list or his match list in the PvP, it takes ages to find a game where he lost against a Protoss player. The last few games where he played, he won with 4-1 against Drain. He took down opponents like Hero with a 2-1. He won against MC at Iron Squid with another 2-1. He took down, of course, all those opponents at the World Cyber Games, winning the final against Adelscott, winning against Mexet. He won the final at WCS against Creator. It's insane. This guy is so good. And the same is, of course, true for Mana. And I had to laugh so hard when Todd mentioned that Mana is always like, yeah, I don't feel too good in this matchup, and then he just wins all his games.
Yeah.
But that's so Mana. He's always like starting very, very low and suddenly takes the game.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. I mean, considering the fact that we have, Parting racking up a win list as good as that, one could only assume that Parting is potentially the best PvPer in the world. So ridiculously strong here, and for now we do have both guys just mirroring each other's builds relatively similarly, apart from the fact that Mana did open up with 2 guys on each gas just to kick things off.
And Mana currently, if you just look at his matches in general, he has a 58% win ratio in this matchup. It's his best matchup after the Terran versus Protoss, which he's known for. And we already have the Twilight Council now for Parting, which is also the strategy that Mana originally wanted to go for when I talked to him early on the stage. He expected this to be just a Blink fight between the two of them, and this is of course what we are all hoping for at this point.
The architecture lends itself very, very nicely to it. Both Parting and Mana very, very used to that kind of play, as we do have now Parting going for his Twilight Council, whilst Mana just adds on additional gateways and even more Stalkers here. So playing maybe a little bit of a slower version of it, or he might just not doing it at all.
I really want to see what Mana's going to do next. Parting is already on his way with his Blink, and on the other hand, the one thing that Parting does not have in his base is, of course, a robotics. And if you want to go for a play with Blink Stalkers, depending on how exactly you execute it, you can go with the Observer or you can go for the Blink build without it. There was this one game that we had at WCS where we had Rain face Creator, and Creator just trying to get up that ramp and Rain defending, but in the end he got one good Blink and suddenly the game changed. Protoss versus Protoss can be so volatile, and now we have Mana pushing Parting back. The Protoss player from Korea maybe about to lose his first Stalker, just trying to retreat to the safety of his base.
Yeah, looking to put on some 3-gate aggression here, and this is pinning him back really, really nicely. Behind this, going for his Robo as well. No hints of any Twilight Council just yet. The probe's being pulled off the line. Parting realizes in a little bit of trouble against those Stalkers, forcing them back, but a probe does go down.
And Mana is now going for his own robotics facility. He wants to get his Observer out, and he can use the pylon for the high ground warp-ins. He has quite a lot of Stalkers here. The count currently in favor of Mana with 7-5, and once again, he's moving up the ramp, picking off the first few probes, swapping additional units. Mana currently at 39 supply against Parting's 35, and here comes the next round of warp-ins.
Oh, but Blink is going to be done very, very soon here for Parting. Mana doesn't want to overstep his boundaries too badly here, but he has killed off a few probes in turn. Nice focus fire, but those probes are now getting in the fray here, doing a lot of damage. Blink will finish in just a little second, and Parting just holding on for dear life against that.
Mana is now down to 1 Stalker. He needs to wait for the next round of warp-ins, but suddenly Parting with his defense. He might have been able to do it, and another good Blink save his Stalker. He's able to push Mana back for now, and now, of course, he has the advantage with the tech.
During all of that, he killed 11 workers, putting the probe count of Parting at 16-24 here. Wow. Mana right now gearing up for some kind of defense, might even just try and completely defend against this with the Twilight Council now en route, might even make some immortals.
Yeah, Mana is currently going straight for the Twilight Council. Once his counter Blink, he's getting the first few mortals. He knows that he's ahead in economy at this point. The Harvester count is so much in his favor with 24-17. And currently at the bottom, we have the Stalkers taking off those pylons that Mana built earlier, supply blocking the Polish player for just a few seconds.
One thing Mana has to be very, very careful about here, I feel, is that, yes, he killed a lot of probes, but whilst doing that, he sacrificed a lot of his units only to kill probes, not actual units of Parting. So the force of Parting for now is going to be extremely large here, with 8 Stalkers pushing up against 1 Immortal, 1 Stalker, and only 2 Sentries.
The key is going to be the force field, and Mana, just in the last second able to get it off. I feel like, did he have the high ground vision? He had to blink in. I think that he actually had a chance.
Halfway up the ramp, I think so. And
he also has the Observer, so that's not even an issue. He's currently taking off that pylon, but with the Immortal, he's a little bit reluctant to blink into the Immortal and the Zealot, but Mana doesn't have a lot of units at this point.
Mana, meanwhile, sending a probe into his opponent's base, just have a little bit of a look around, might even throw down a pylon for the hell of it. We've seen that once or twice sometimes, as that sharks around in that mineral line. Oh, actually blocking those probes, denying a lot of the mining time there. That's pretty brilliant.
And cancelling it as well. This is awesome. This is pretty old school, but here the blink in for Party, blinking up the ramp, trying to pick up the Immortal, and the Immortal is down. The second one about to leave the robotics facility, Parting on the retreat, but he has a lot of Stalkers here. With this blink micro, he can do a lot of damage before he leaves his opponent's base.
Well, Immortal waddles out here, saving Mana for now. At the same time, it is 24 to 25 probes, so Parting is caught up during all of this. That unit count that he had built up behind Mana, sacrificing all of his units for the kills, it's evened up quite nicely.
Picking up this Immortal was really important for Parting, and Mana now back to 1 Immortal, getting the second one. His counter blink is nearly ready, and we have both of them still roughly the same supply. One of the things that Mana also sees is this Observer, but he can't do anything about it because he needs his robo time for the Immortals. He can't waste any time to get his own Observer out just yet.
And Mana just wants to get up to that 2 to 3 with a nice gateway force like support there to really, really help out against this blink play. The blink Stalkers have to be forced back once again. Mana now has his own blink to combat Parting's blink. There's a lot of blinks in that sentence, but the point is that it's there and it's a tool that Mana can use.
And those sentries are of course also important later, and he can use those for the Guardian shields, and in the big battle this is making a huge difference. More and more weapons now for Mana. He's trying to get a big force out. None of those players, well actually Parting is now getting his second base. He tries to blink up into the base and abuse the nice position here that he has, takes off the Observer of his opponent. The same is true for Mana. Both of those guys without an Observer anymore, but suddenly Parting can aim for his opponent's probes going into the mineral line and blinking back to safety as soon as the Polish player is back there to defend his base.
That was a good position there for Parting. Meanwhile, we have Mana. It looks as if he wants to set up some kind of expansion here. He has the Immortal capability to push this army back, but he doesn't really have the mobility factor there just yet with those Immortals. So constantly having to dive between 2 locations whilst he takes his expansion here. Parting might continually abuse this, but he is also going for an expansion.
Parting was heavily supply blocked. He just realized it at the time when he got supply blocked, and for a long time he wasn't able to get anything into the game anymore. But he has the expansion so much faster and is now adding his own Immortals. Mana is also getting another Nexus, but he's a little bit late with that. The thing is that Mana cannot push out. He has 2 Immortals already. Party can't really fight him, and with the counter blink, Parting is not as mobile as he was earlier.
Yeah, that's a bit of a deterrent there for him, as for now we do have a few more gateways. Robo Bay now on the way for Parting. That's going to help him out quite a lot in terms of going to the mid game to those Colossus wars. And it seems to me that in this matchup, either you end up killing your opponent straight up on this map with blink play, or you just go to that 200-200 position, and it's really, really easy to make something happen from that point on.
This game is already quite a treat. This early aggression of Mana was awesome, and he changed his original build. He changed what he was trying to do because what he scouted from Parting. Parting really pressured, but he's just such a great player, and he was able to defend it. Now we are heading into this late game scenario with Immortals out for both players, able to deal with those Stalkers. And of course, one wrong blink in this scenario can lose you the game. If you blink forward and suddenly you find yourself in a trap, you might lose your entire army and you won't be able to hold the counter push.
Yeah, defensive blink is so important in this matchup. I would say even more so than offensive, depending on the situation, of course. But for now, we do have just the 12 Stalkers out against the 7. Mana rising that number a little bit, but he does have that Immortal advantage. He's mixing even more Immortals in whilst getting his Robo Bay as well. So when do we see Parting starting that Colossus production?
Well, Parting is the first one who finishes the Robotics Bay. You're certainly right about that. And he now has the resources to start getting his own Colossus. But Mana is already catching up. The first Colossus for Parting just now started as the Robotics Bay for Mana is about to be done. He has the higher Immortal count. He's already at 3. He's adding a 4th. So both of them just now trying to saturate the second base. We have extended thermal lands, faster for Parting, of course, and also the first Forge, so he can start with his upgrades.
Yeah, not too bad a choice at all. We saw upgrades become so important in this matchup, especially the weapons upgrades. The way in which they benefit Colossus helps out so much more than armor upgrades do. So we'll probably see Parting go straight for those weapon upgrades here to really kick in that big advantage going into the later stages.
You know, all those extra immortals that Mana has, they will really help him in the next fight.
yeah.
If he can get a good position and maybe even target down those Colossi of Parting, he can definitely win this game. In the late game, Protoss versus Protoss position is basically everything. You need to have this good position. If the army is similar, position and micro, that's what it's all about. Are you attacking into a concave? Are you actually the one defending and setting up your units before your opponent approaches? Mana, even now with its second robotics facility, wants to go for the double Colossus production. He started his extended thermal lance. And there are just subtle differences between those upgrades. But the one thing that really works for Parting, that's his upgrade.
Yeah,
the +1 attack.
You're really right about the immortal kind of numbers that you can mix into this composition. During the qualification process, we saw Parting go up against Genius, where Parting was down so much on immortals. Whoa, hold the phone. Blinking forwards here. An aggressive blink, not the most amazing of choices. And he gets a few Stalkers caught. Once again, an offensive blink, but in the right situation, Mana takes some kills.
This is exactly what we talked about earlier. One offensive blink, he doesn't see the army, he gets force fielded, blink is in cooldown, and bam, 4 of the Stalkers immediately gone. So at this point, Mana with a really good catch in this mid game. He's also adding his own Forge right now, but earlier...
Actually, and he actually has the double robo production as well, so he's getting 2 Colossus at any given time as opposed to the 1 for Parting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, now Parting is doing the same now, but Mana was a lot faster with this. The thing is that originally what we saw is that Parting started to go for the upgrades first, whereas Mana built the earlier robotics facility, so he just committed all his gas to the production of units and didn't go for the upgrades right away. So this is the subtle difference that we have here, but in the end they're both meeting at basically the same composition.
Yeah.
You can really see when you just look at the production tab of the unit counting station that we have 3 against 3 Colossi and then a slight lead in Stalkers for Parting, whereas Mana has more Immortals.
Yeah, those Immortals, again, as you rightly point out, a big factor here. Killing off an Observer, nice pick off there by Mana, just limiting how much information Parting can have. Parting for now just throwing pylons down everywhere he can, trying to open up those potential counter avenues.
And we have double bases. Well, the third base for both of them now, Mana and Parting, are roughly at the same time going for it, and Mana is the first one who wants to add a few Archons to his composition here with the Templar Archive now on its way.
Yeah, those Archons really useful as well. They soak up a lot of damage. It comes to the point with the Colossus numbers to the upgrade numbers. It's like, well, Mana never really got ahead as well with that, despite having double robo to begin with. So it doesn't really benefit him a huge amount here against those upgrades. So I would still say Parting is in a really good spot here with those upgrades.
We are heading towards this one big fight, and I said it before on the GSL. If you look at the late game PvP, it's a little bit like having sex for the first time. It's exciting, it's messy, but it's over in a second.
Yeah.
So right now we have both of them just moving out once again. And if you get this one position, suddenly those Colossi just kill everything and the game is over and bam.
And we even have the charge now being worked in here, a crucial part of the Protoss versus Protoss composition. Just so that even if you can get those flanks going, for example, if just one Zealot, I have seen in PvP, one Zealot make the difference with a flank because the Colossus turn around and fire on it for one volley, that's huge. And if one player here gets that done, they can make a fight go way in their favor.
Just talking about the position, Parting has a good advantage now with all those pylons across the map. If you look at the minimap, he has warp in points everywhere, to the left, to the right, top left. It's just crazy, so Mana has to be really careful here. In supply, they are still dead even. Overall supply, Mana even in the lead a little bit. The upgrades, that's where it differs a bit. Charge and also extended thermal lance are the same, but we have the +1, the +2 attack upgrade already nearly completed for Parting.
Yeah, the double forge upgrades here is where Mana's really going to try and catch up, whilst Parting's still on the only one. 6 gateways going down here for Parting though, so a 3 base potential timing, or just general push might be something on the cards depending on how many gateways he has behind that. And for now, we have those High Templars warping in for those Archons.
And Mana at this point has only 7 Colossi against 9, but he has so many Immortals, 5 against 2, and he has also 1 Archon to crush potential force fields. The Colossi, of course, also really good to do that, but they are always staying in the back, so it's not really what you want. Right now, the double upgrades, if they complete for Mana, that would be worth so much, because Parting, he's already going into +3 attack.
Yeah, that's a pretty scary thing to see there. And right now, Mana still trying to stabilize, still trying to just sit around and recuperate any kind of force that he would need here to deal with Parting. But Parting, with a 15 supply lead right now, he's gone back into Immortal production because he knows, as well as we do, how important those can be as a backbone for the Protoss army.
Mana is setting up his defense as Parting is the one who tries to pressure his opponent. Is he moving into this position? Mana is even supply blocked now, something that shouldn't happen at this point. He needs those additional units out there. He immediately starts another pylon. The army supply highly in favor of Parting with 135 against 114. Upgrades not done for Mana just yet.
Ooh, a few units go astray there for Parting, get caught a little bit by Mana, but for now, Parting so far ahead in that army composition and that army just amount that if he knew Mana was at 168, he might end up going for a trade.
Mana lost warp-ins here. He had a lot of minerals because of the supply block, so now he's just trying to get back into this. But I love that he's going for this warp prism. This might be a really nice deal. But here come those Colossi for Parting. He's moving to the front a little bit too far. Mana gets a few shots off, but Parting just tried to poke here. Now he's completely committing to the fight, leading the charge with the Archons. Mana is clumped up with all those Colossi, needs to be careful, but Parting gets a way better position than the Polish player.
Oh god, all those Colossi doing so much damage here for Parting. GG, well played for game number 1.
Over in a flash. Mana with a burst position. We have Parting walking up the ramp. Really nice split on those Colossi, and he gets the damage off. Mana clumped up with his forces, and then suddenly the game is over, and Parting is in the lead with 1-0.
Just a little bit difficult when you find yourself in that situation as the defending Protoss to actually find a good concave there. Your Nexus is blocking. There's a little bit of architecture, really finding yourself, you know, just really pinned into a small location. And Parting, he exploited that. He had huge amounts of area.
And I'm really excited to hear what especially Todd is going to say about this Protoss versus Protoss. There were a lot of nuances to this game. So let's throw it over to the guys at the analysis desk.
Exciting, messy, and over in a second. That's possibly the best StarCraft 2 analogy I have ever heard. That was a great PvP, and it shows this matchup has come up so far in the past 2 years. Todd, can you talk us through this art?
Basically, Mana, he went for the 3 gates pressure, but his pylon was a bit too far from the action at first, so he ended up not doing as much as he could have. But he was ahead after this. Obviously, he had more walkers.
Yeah.
But Parting, he was able to hold, and he had Blink, so he tried to use this to his advantage. Mana did a good job defending at first, but then Parting got a really good Blink in the base of Mana, basically, where he was able to kill some of the probes. We can take a look at the replay. He blinked here a first time in the main. And after that, he was basically waiting for Mana to do a mistake, maybe. And Mana, he moved out a bit here, but Parting repositions. He knew the units were most likely down there. And he blinked up. He did a bit of damage, sniping a bunch of stalkers. He got some probes behind this. And during all this time, Parting had already started his Nexus, and Mana, his was late. Parting was now ahead by 1 probe, which is not much. But if you know how to macro behind this, this is very important. And both of those players know. They just get a couple Immortals and they take to Colossi with double Robo. But what Parting had going for him is that he was getting basically the Forge earlier and the upgrades earlier. And usually when that happens in PvP, you're going to want to hit a very big timing with +2 or +3. So now Parting, he hit a big timing, but it was just before +3. So I'm going to fast forward the replay a little bit more. Don't show it just yet. Like, you guys can give your opinion in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, Mana's pressure put him in a very good position. He was ahead economically, but he lost so many units. He maybe overextended a little bit, and he got to a point where he just needed to defend. He needed to stabilize. And then, like Todd was saying, like we showed in the replay, he just lost a couple too many probes and was kind of on his back foot, making it really hard for him to actually take his natural expansion at the timing he needed. And then Parting converted that into this very big, very strong timing that we saw at Mana's third. And some of the key features of that timing, we saw a lot more Archons from Parting, and also Parting was a lot more active with his army. You notice he was kind of poking in. He'd like take a little shot with all his Colossus, just trying to weaken Mana, trying to make it a little harder for him to macro, make him a little uneasy. And what we're going to see is not only did Parting have a slightly better unit composition, but he actually had more supply in that battle, even though they were both macroing almost about equal.
He did. They were equal almost the entire game, I think right up to about the 160 mark. And right around the moment that Parting sniped that pylon and supply blocked him, A moment later, he had jumped 30 supply ahead right before the final engagement when his +3 finished. It was just perfect timing and perfect engagement.
Yeah.
And what was such a close game the entire time ended so quickly. And I think Todd has this loaded for us.
We can come back to the replay now. Okay, this is just before the fight began here. And the army supply is 138 for Parting, which is significant against the 116 of Mana.
Yeah, that's almost 20-25% bigger army for Parting.
And you know what? I really like that Mana made 5 Immortals very early on, and Parting just had like 1 or 2. But then Parting, he came back, and he ended up making 5 total Immortals, which is a good number. He had 5 Archons, 10 Colossi. That's a very good mix here by Parting. Mana, he just gave away his Stalkers. I don't know, maybe he felt he didn't need them in the fight. Usually in those big 200 Stalkers are pretty useless. So right now, Parting has more supply, and now you see he notices that Mana's army is out of position. As Kelaris said, you really need to have a great concave all around here if you want to be able to defend when you have less supply and you're behind on upgrades. So we have 2-0 against 1-1. The 2-0 has the advantage. And Parting now, he just moves in with his Colossi first. He snipes 1 Colossi for free. And after this, he just chooses to go for it. He has 1 pylon in position to be able to reinforce near the fight. He blinks a couple Stalker to lure some shots from Mana, but Mana does not have enough. You see, he doesn't even have any Archons anymore. And those Archons, they're going to be able to tank some. And yeah, very clear win here by Parting in this last fight. So very well done. That was very impressive.
It was.
Actually.
Yeah, this place is electric. Mana didn't manage to pull out the first game, but everyone, including us, saw the potential. It was there and it could have happened.
Yeah.
And it could definitely happen in the next
Definitely.
game.
I definitely could see Mana taking this, coming back, taking this series.
Absolutely. The next map is Entombed. How is that going to affect their builds?
Say again?
Todd, what do you think about Entombed in PvP?
This is a bit of a less fun map, I would say, because there is so little possibilities for Blink just because of the overlay. But you basically have to play differently. It's a good robo map just because you can defend more easily against Blink. And since it's a good robo map, it's a good Phoenix map because Phoenix counters robo. But a lot of cheese are available because you have a lot of room to hide what you're going to do. If you, for example, Mana, I know that sometimes he does a proxy robo where he sends a War Prism and Warp Units in his opponent's space. But in general, one of the better builds on this map is just to go for robo expand. But we might see some kind of pressure again by Mana. I know he really likes those to get some information. He's not trying to kill Parting. He will kill Parting if Parting is too greedy, but other than that, he just wants some information.
Well, I cannot wait to check this game out. Mana, the Imba man, as Parting said himself. We're going to blink it over to the casters and watch another epic PvP.
Blink it over indeed. Very apt for this PvP here. Game number 2, Entombed Valley, Mana versus Parting.
Yeah.
This is going to be scary.
That's going to be scary. I'm pretty pumped for this game. Mana has to take it now if he wants to tie the series up. If not, then Parting takes another win and will be 4-0 at the IEM Katowice.
Yep, so we're going to be jumping right on into the game here as spawning.
And starting to the top right of the map, we have our Korean Protoss player starting for SKT1. It is Parting.
Spawning down to the bottom left-hand corner. 1 game down, guys. He needs your cheers. DreamHack champion, ESWC champion. Give it up for Mao's Mana.
Cross position for those two guys. And in the first map, we've seen a lot of Blink Stalkers then going into the late game.
I just like listening to them. That's good.
You know, I would really like to join this chant, but the thing is that Carmack told me I am not allowed to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
We're PC friendly here. So, okay, for now, we do have Entombed Valley. As Todd rightly pointed out, this is a map that's a little bit weird for PvP. There's architecture that doesn't necessarily help out Blink play. You do see sometimes a lot of Phoenix play on this map. That's one thing that can be hidden in the back of the mineral line, and I like that style.
You can play so many different styles here. You can also try to be a bit sneaky. One of the things that I've seen when Hero just came back to Korea after he played at the NASL 4 and won the tournament was he was playing on this map and his opponent was just going for a 4-gate with a War Prism when Hero was just trying to go straight into the Stargate. And that didn't really work for him too well because he never saw the War Prism coming. So these games and this map in particular, it's sometimes just a little bit odd.
Wow, Parting is getting a lot of gas here very, very early on in comparison to what you would normally see in PvP. And as we pointed out earlier, that pylon in the background, that is the potential spot to hide tech. There's the opportunity to go for the Stargate, but you could even see Twilight Council into Dark Shrine with this kind of early gas pump.
You can do so many things here. I mean, we also had... One of the things with the Stargate is, of course, if you open up with the sentries and you just force-field your ramp, you make sure your opponent doesn't get into your base, doesn't get those scouting information, then you can just blindside him with these builds. And at this point, Parting doesn't even scout. He's just using his one Zealot to roam the ramp to try to make sure that this probe doesn't get in. If he micros it well, then he can get 2 shots off. If the sentry is out, on the other hand, and it might just be there in time, then there's no way for Mana to scout what's going on.
There you go, there's the Stargate, guys. Parting opening up with that. Another tactic that can be popular on this map is something like Robo Facility with Warp Prism and then like some kind of harassment with units from there on. Nice denial there from the scouting there by Parting. And we do have that Robo. That is not a good choice.
Not at all. That's always one of those gambles that you take. If you open up with the Twilight Council, then you're in a great position against the Stargate player. You get your Bling, you get your Stalkers, your Mobile. You can always work against your opponent's Phoenixes. But now we have him opening up with his own Robo. And this is really a little bit risky for him. If Parting now gets a lot of Phoenixes out and swoops in, takes those sentries and kills them right away, works his way towards the mineral line and starts killing probes, then Mana is in a lot of trouble. So the build order, or at least the strategies that they choose in the early stage of the game, favoring Parting here.
Yeah, Parting's in a good spot. We have the extra couple of gateways going down here for Mana just to keep himself stable on this one base. There's the potential for him to do some aggression as well, but for the most part, it's going to be Parting. Just, you know, sharking around his opponent's side of the map, really limiting what he can do. Phoenix give you such good presence as well as such good scouting that it's a really nice tool to have early on.
And look how he uses his Phoenixes now. He knows exactly where his opponent is starting, as if this is a cross-only version, if I'm not completely wrong. But actually, is he scouting?
It seems so.
I'm right. I'm not mixing the maps up, right? This is a cross-only version.
Yes, it is cross-only version.
I think he doesn't know that.
Maybe, maybe.
I mean, he wants to dodge the Xel'Naga Watchtower, of course, and he wants to make sure that his strategy is not revealed. But the way that he moves his Phoenix suggests that he was rather scouting the bottom right of the map. I might be wrong here, but I definitely have to talk to him later and confirm that. He catches one of the probes and takes it down immediately, and now moving towards Mana's main base.
That poor probe knew impending death was on the way as the Phoenix just fluttered above him there. Now, having a little bit of a look around, seeing what's going on. When Parting saw that Immortal, I think he just got a small glimpse of it. He's very, very happy. And he sees the Twilight Council as well. He's taking an expansion behind this, getting a Robo. Parting knows everything that's going on and has to feel pretty comfortable.
Mana has an Observer, and the Observer is now going to spot this expansion, which is really important. He needs those scouting informations. Parting is the one who can pressure him a bit more with those Phoenixes, which he does, but he can't stop the Nexus from being built. That's what you want to do. If you see that probe heading out and you are fast, then you just lift it and you take it down before the Nexus is dropped. But with those Phoenixes, of course, not being able to lift the Nexus just yet, they need to exercise a little bit more in the gym before they can do that. They can't really prevent it or damage it.
Yeah, that's true. He has killed off 5 workers during the entirety of this, though. So he's taken a small lead, 25 workers to 28 right now. And that's going to extend a little bit as his Nexus finishes up just before his opponent, but he's adding on those Immortals now. He's swinging into that nice mid-game composition, and look at this. He's found the Observer. Going to tail that forever.
He's actually going to take that down. Oh! That's a close one. I actually think that Mana could have saved that if he realized it. But now we have still those Phoenixes around, trying to find a spot in the main base to pick off another probe and take it down. Blink is nearly completed, and that's the time where things are going to get a little bit harsh for Parting's Phoenixes. But as you can see, another probe being killed, and that's number 6.
And this is the advantage that Phoenix actually just gives you. Not only do you get great scouting information, but if you can eventually just keep your opponent pinned back slightly to what he feels comfortable with, you can, as Parting is doing, you can throw that Robo down, then you can throw your Robo Bay down at a quicker pace than your opponent here in the form of Mana, which is really, really annoying for Mana to deal with.
And even if you have suddenly Colossi on the map, those Phoenixes are still useful. You can always try to take them down early, pressure them, get rid of those shields. Parting now with his Robotics Bay, with the first Immortals, he's in a good position here. He has the lead in Harvesters, he has his expansion up a bit earlier than Mana did. Of course, therefore, more Chrono Boost energy, the double production, and here another Observer that Parting just controls the map at this point. He has the map control, he's using it, and he's not losing any Phoenixes just yet.
The synergy of Observer Phoenix is brutal. Look at how much we've seen lost here from Mana thus far. 500 resources lost to the 50 of Parting. He's keeping his opponent pinned back very nicely. It's small little advantages that add up to that big advantage eventually, which is what Parting's hinging on here.
Exactly, it just adds up. And if you look at the tech, we have the first Colossus now already on the production tab for Parting, whereas the only thing that Mana has is his Twilight Council on the Robo. Once more, the Phoenix is going in, trying to find an opening, but Mana has his Stalkers in good position, and now blinks just forward and tries to snipe finally a few of those air units.
Interestingly enough, we're not seeing Parting make any more probes here. He's just making a few more gateways with this Colossus. He's not getting thermal lance. What is he up to? This looks interesting. He doesn't have any guys on gas. I think he's just going to go.
Yeah, he's definitely going to go with his first Colossus that he has. And think about it, at this point, we don't have a Colossus for his opponent. Mana is down in Immortals. He has not a single Colossus. He has 13 Blink Stalkers. That's his advantage at this point. But right now, Parting with this army, he's at 49 army supply against 37. Here comes another Blink by Mana. But the Polish player is in a lot of trouble here.
He really is. He needs to make this work out well. He does get force fielded back there, but the Blink will save him just for now. Segregating a lot of those Zealots as well here. Mana needs to fall back and find a better position.
The sentries are gone. There's no Guardian Shield anymore, and suddenly he even is able to trap the Immortal. The Immortal is out of the equation. Mana only has Stalkers left. Here come the Phoenixes, picking them up, lifting them into the air, and Mana is losing ground as Parting is working his way up the ramp towards the natural.
This one Colossus push is a devastating timing here. Mana falling down in supply rapidly as Parting just continues to separate all of this army, picking off bit by bit. There's not much left over. The one Colossus, there you go, GG!
Wow, Parting in Europe here is just making sure that he's conquering the world. He conquered Asia, and now he is on his way to lead the group at IM Katowice at our second day. Mana with a loss, but the crowd is still behind him.
He's not done out just yet. That's the first series of this tournament. Mana still here playing for victory in Poland, but Parting takes that one little extra step towards taking what he wants, the first place in this group.
Yes, a 2-0 victory for Parting here after he already defeated Bly. Mana was able to win against Tafel. Now he has the first loss. Is still in a good position in this group, and we're giving over to the guys at the at the analyst desk, the troll desk. Let's hear what QXC, Todd, and Jared have to say.
Phoenix opening versus early Robo. Is that a build order loss, or is there something that Mana could have done to pull that back?
I think definitely Parting had a good advantage there when you do that early Phoenix opening. If your opponent's going for that Robo, the Robo's not really giving you a lot to defend against that Phoenix. It doesn't give you a lot of counterattack options. Immortals, Observers can help you a bit, but Immortals aren't doing anything. You're not going for early Colossus stuff. And so I think Parting definitely had a bit of an advantage coming out of that.
And by it doesn't give you a lot, you mean it doesn't give you anything to defend against the Phoenixes. So
yes,
definitely Parting had a good build order advantage here, opening with Phoenix against Robo. And after that, basically Mana, he went for a lot of Blink Stalkers. And I don't think that's a good reaction. You just need to get a couple, like 5 or 6 per mineral line, and then you need to take into something else, most likely Colossus. But Parting, he realized that his opponent was getting a lot of Blink Stalkers, so he just made a couple Immortals, 1 Colossi, and he hit this big timing where he thought he could finish the game, and he did. So we're actually going to look at that here. Parting, he did a very good job with his Phoenixes of flying around and scouting. He did not do that much damage, actually. He did not kill that many probes. But let's go into the replay now. And we'll see that Parting now, he's about to move out just as he gets his first Colossi. And he's been flying around a lot. He saw that there was really, like, those Stalkers, what do they do against this army, really? They cannot do much. Yep. Unless you base straight in a direct fight, those Immortals, they are going to crush the Stalkers. We have the Colossi doing some good damage as well. So now he catches Mana in the middle of the map, killing at least 1 Stalker. And Mana tries to force field, but I mean, there is a Colossi, so he cannot really force field anything. So now he's just going to start pulling back, but his Immortal gets left behind. And the army supply at this point was 52 to 29, and I mean, this is also a game of numbers.
Yeah.
So at this point, there's nothing left for Mana to do, and Parting just crushes through and takes the victory.
Parting did a really good job of using his Phoenix. Like you said, he didn't really do much damage, but he got so much information about what Mana was doing so that he was able to convert that into a really precise, really strong timing attack that was specifically designed to deal with that large number of Blink Stalkers.
So well executed. He looks so strong. He's up 2-0 in this group already, well on his way to advancing. I'm not sure if anyone can stop him at this event, but I really hope someone does, just for the excitement, and I really hope that someone's Polish. The added bonus should be really exciting. Our next matchup is Mana again So this place is going to get really loud again. And this time he's playing the Spanish Terran Lucifron.
That is going to be a sick matchup.
It's going to be a totally sick matchup. I can't wait. Before that, we'll have a quick commercial break, and I just want to give you a quick update on the other scores. Grubby defeated Tarson in his first match 2-1. Lucifron took out Siphon 2-0, and Moonglade is up 1-0 against Dream. Australia fighting. We'll be right back.